Hello, I'm Askar Sherlief and you're watching the news from Kazakhstan. The press conference of Almaty court administrators ended with a heated argument between journalists and officials during the discussion of the situation with the newspaper Respublika Business Review Take 2. Reporters tried to find out what should they do now, but court administrators were not really forthcoming with their answers.
Tell me clearly what to do now. Should we issue the newspaper, sell it and pay off the debts?
Talk to the court. Almaty court administrators forgot to tell the newspaper Respublika Business Review Take 2 that from now on, all the funds received by printing houses from the outlet will be confiscated in favor of BTE Bank. This decision was announced on February 22nd, but the editorial staff missed it, as it was not invited to the hearing. In their statement, officials accused the publishers of malicious dereliction of the court decision. Yet there is no clear understanding on what to do with the independent newspaper. If you disagree, you may appeal to the decision.
Tell us, do you agree with the decision to ban the distribution and sale?
Yes, I do. According to the lawyer Sergei Utkin, the court officials have puzzled the editors with their decisions. Apparently, the publication can be printed but not sold. Therefore, there is only one way out, going back to court.
What do the Anti-Monopoly Committee, President's Administration, Government and Information Ministry do if the rights of this newspaper are being violated, while they deliberately ignore it and say that no other publication has this problem? This will be our ground for action.
Respublika's reporters suspect that collecting debts in favor of BTA Bank is not the main goal of the court. It is more important to not allow the newspaper's businessmen partners to publish it. In their turn, observers call the printing house censorship and new know-how of the Kazakh freedom of speech.
Cardiologist Vladimir Babarykin called himself an accidental witness. On Tuesday, he held a briefing in Almaty, publicly refuting his earlier court testimony about the poor health condition of Mukhtar Jakishev.
Famous Kazakh heart surgeon with 30 years of experience, Vladimir Babarykin, has refuted his own words. On Tuesday, February 23rd, he publicly retracted his statement about the illness of Mukhtar Jakishev. A couple of weeks ago, the deputy director of the Cardiology Institute told the court that Jakishev, the ex-head of Kazatomprom, needs a complex medical examination.
I admit that I made a mistake. My conclusion was based on seeing several copies of documents, not originals. But I never examined the patient, and I have not seen the outpatient card.
The doctor admits that when they met in court, Jakishev's blood pressure was indeed as high as 200, which is sustainably above the norm. Babarykin also says that he never saw people raise their own blood pressure at will and using just muscle power, as claimed by the doctors of the National Security Committee's word. Nevertheless, the cardiologist insists that he became a victim of speculation by Jamila Jakisheva and the president of Aman Sağlık Fund, Bahit Tumenova. Supposedly, Jakisheva even offered a cash reward for the doctor's testimony in the court, but he refused. Meanwhile, Tumenova views her colleague's behavior as illogical and the doctor's reputation as solid. He changes his decisions every day. What about the Hippocratic Oath? Jamila Jakisheva explains the behavior of the cardiologist by an administrative pressure. The doctor gave his testimony on February 5th and only 2 weeks later refuted his words. He says that the diagnosis is incorrect. That is, he did not diagnose the patient himself and just saw the presented documents. Vladimir Babarykin argues that he does not feel any pressure. On the contrary, he says the administration of the institute is supporting his initiatives by providing space for the press conferences.
Meanwhile, on Tuesday, Jakishev's former security guard, Talgat Kostaubayev, expressed his objection to the presiding judge. He is dissatisfied with the fact that his attorney Hamida Itkalieva is not allowed to be involved in the process. The Sararka District Court, however, refused to take the statement of the defendant into account.
The access to state secrets was granted on February 18th by Astana's Justice Department. However, on Tuesday, the agency withdrew the clearance, saying it lacks several signatures. Hamida Itkalieva suspects that the court is deliberately protracting the process. Meanwhile, Mukhtar Jakishev's attorney has made a number of objections. Nurlan Bisikeyev says that almost all of his motions were rejected, including repeated requests to change the restriction measures, conduct an independent medical examination, and dismiss from the case the state defender Bolat Esatayev. On Tuesday, Jakishev and his attorney asked for the examination of witnesses from their side. 5 people arrived for this purpose from Almaty. However, the court left the motion open by refusing to hear testimonies today. The court did so in the hope that people who came from another city would not wait until the next hearing. In fact, this decision not only violates the procedural law, but also prevents me from doing my job.
Recent high-profile cases in Kazakhstan are also mentioned in the open letter of the former Prime Minister Akizhan Kazgeldin, published in the internet on Tuesday. In his address, the famous politician of the 90s reflects on the causes of the corruption in the country, close relatives of the president, and the state capital improvements.
The appeal of the former leader of the People's National Party of Kazakhstan is linked to the recent developments within the country. The resource curse, anti-Chinese sentiments, and even Kazakhate, all these served as basis for Kazgeldin's letter. Nevertheless, Mukhtar Ablazov's attacks against the president's son-in-law Timur Kulibayev are in the center of attention. If Mr. Kulibayev wants to live in his country with dignity, then he should sue Mukhtar Ablazov in a London court at the place of defendant's current residence, but not in the disgraced Medeo District Court. The cannibal lawsuit to ban any information about him, Timur Kulibayev, spoke out against the entire nation. Such actions do not pass in vain. The deputy head of the party Azad, Petr Svoik, believes that Kazgeldin's message has little to do with the need to maintain his political reputation, but rather with a viewpoint from the outside, as he has been living in emigration for more than a decade. Kazgeldin's article is responding to the call of the recent president's address. Incidentally, the article is very reasonable and there is nothing in it that could be objected, as it is written competently, with confidence and to the point.
Meanwhile, on Tuesday, activists of the unregistered party Alga brought yet another set of letters to the parliament exposing facts of corruption by the senior officials of the country.
This is the activists' fourth attempt to reach the authorities. This time it went without traditional clashes with the police. Clerical officers of the Senate accepted the letters right away, as opposed to Parliament, where employees tried to protract the process, citing the temporary lack of specialists. Ultimately, though, the papers had been registered properly. Interestingly, people working in the Parliament's letters department aren't familiar with the principle of registering letters. This is what we witnessed today. A man who met with us didn't know whether he needs to use a stamp and thought that he could just pick up the letter without making a record of it.
On the other hand, Almaty's policemen are apparently overperforming their duties. Evidently, it is prohibited to carve fish at the central square of the city. Kazakh artist Kanat Ibragimov learned the hard way about the authorities' tastes in performing arts.
Fish rots from the head.
By beheading a carp near the Stela of Independence at the Republic Square in Almaty, artist Kanat Ibragimov demonstrated his civic stand. Unfortunately, men in uniform did not appreciate the extreme art performance.
Please introduce yourself. I'm an artist and academy member, Kanat Ibragimov. You are littering and violating the public order.
The performance lasted for about a couple of minutes, and then Ibragimov was taken to the Bastandik district police station, together with material evidence, the beheaded fish and an axe. Around 20 people witnessed the scandal development, including other artists, human rights activists and journalists.
Well, at least the fish was already dead. Some of his past performances in Moscow included killing still living roosters and sheep, which is not good in my opinion. Yesterday, Ibragimov called me and invited to this performance. I asked him if it was authorized, and he said that art doesn't require permissions. Our authorities do not have any art appreciation and can never have it.
Unauthorized public actions at the main square of Almaty are forbidden by the local city administration. Now the artist, notorious for his outrageous performances, will face a fine for the violation of public order.